You guys, look at this new setup. I have a microphone now and a gimbal, so I don't actually have to use my arms anymore. Isn't that amazing? Welcome to Gyeongju. We're in the southeast of South Korea, and we spent almost a week in Seoul, and now we've traveled here. Gyeongju is basically the old capital of the Silla Kingdom, and here are lots of burial mounds and just very old places to visit, like 600 BC old. So really very amazing for someone like me who's very interested in history. For the past couple of days, I've been reading Han Kang's Vegetarian, which is the book I wanted to focus on while I'm traveling through South Korea. We're leaving in 2 days. No, tomorrow. Tomorrow we're leaving for Japan. So I am happy to announce that I'm almost finished. Not yet just finished. I'm in I would say in the first few pages of the third part. So this book is very short. It's like 120 pages and it has 3 parts. So I'm in the last one as of now. But I thought I would give you a little update while we're in this beautiful scenery. We're taking a hike on our last day in Gyeongju. Today we wanted to take a step back from the urban and city environment and just get outside and have a little hike up this mountain. And there are lots of Buddhist not exactly temples, but statues and carvings that you can visit along the trail. So that makes for a really entertaining walk, I have to say. It's not just the natural environment that's beautiful, but also there's some cultural significance here as well. But coming back to The Vegetarian, this is the second book that I'm reading by Han Kang, and I think this one I can really understand why she got the Nobel Prize for Literature last year, I think it was. I think that it's a book that you really have to be in the right kind of mindset for. I don't think you can read it just whenever, because the topic it deals with might not be for everyone. Okay, I just crept up closer to the camera, because now you can see my face better. I'm still figuring all of this out, so bear with me. Anyway, The Vegetarian deals with topics that might not be for everyone. It's very different to what I expected when I started it, or when I had heard of it for the first time. And it's incredible. I think it's even better than the first book I read by Han Kang, which is actually a later work by her, which is called We Do Not Part. This one I read in May, I think because my book club chose it, and it was my proposition. So I've been on the hunt for people to read more of Han Kang's books. Okay, people have come up this mountain now, and now I'm getting really shy, so I will kind of whisper into the microphone, okay? Do some ASMR. Anyway, as you might have guessed, I am recommending this book to you, The Vegetarian by Han Kang. It's fascinating how this author manages to produce so many emotions in me while I'm reading this book. The first part of the book follows the husband of the person turning vegetarian. The second part of the book follows the husband of the sister of the person turning vegetarian. There are more people coming up the mountain now. Wonderful. I don't feel exposed at all. Anyway, the third part follows her sister. So the perspective is never that of the person turning vegetarian herself. So you never have any kind of glimpse into her inner life, which is incredibly interesting. You have little snippets of her dreams and things she says to people in conversations, but you never have any knowledge about what she actually feels or why she behaves in a certain way. So it's a lot of guesswork and just going with the flow of the book, and also understanding that it's not really about the why of certain decisions that characters make, but rather it's a very character-based and relationship-based study, but basically the relationships of all the other people surrounding the person turning vegetarian. So I think Han Kang has made some interesting decisions in setting up this book in general. Let's take a little break from my rambling and let's take you along to this lovely cafe that we visited in the city of Gyeongju. They had some English books and a lovely menu from which we chose very nice drinks. And the nice thing about this place was that it was a historic building, so the architecture was hanok style, but it was a modern cafe, so I really liked the mix of that. And I'll show you around. There are rooms you could rent, and they were surrounding this quadrangle in which you could also hang out in the summertime like we did. It was empty. We had it all to ourselves, so we could explore and take some footage, and we just had a lovely time here. You see the ceilings, the broad wooden beams. I love the fact that they included real plants with the books. A very brave choice. Yeah, I just really, really felt so at home and cozy with this in like architectural style. The design choices that were made. You see how the beam just like makes a wave, so you can see it's truly an old building. And the thing about Gyeongju is that they are only allowed to build in historic style. There are no new buildings in the inner city quarters. So that was lovely, exactly what I needed. So it's a few days later, and we're actually in Japan now after 1 week in South Korea. And we're on an island between Okayama and Takamatsu, and I'm actually reading Battle Royale right now, which takes place here. But anyway, the first book that I read on this trip was The Vegetarian by Han Kang, and I finished the book a few days ago, and I think this was the best choice I could have made for a 1 week trip, because when you're on holiday you don't have much time to read. I read this physically on my ebook, and it's only 120 pages, so I was able to get it done even though we did not have much time for reading and traveling. So I've had a couple of days to think about this book after finishing it, and the funny thing is that, if you don't know, I'm a vegetarian myself. So when I started this book, I didn't think that I would connect so much with the main character. I don't want to spoil anything, but, well, I might have to, because my reflections, of course, always connect to what's happening in the book. But what happens on the surface is that she basically does not want to be a human anymore. She wants to become a plant, a tree, somehow non-human. She wants to take on a non-human existence. And I think that's so interesting, because it literally takes the fact, or the principle behind vegetarian on, literally on the face level, because she does not consume any kind of animal product anymore, but she also doesn't want to be an animal herself. So this is a very existential take on veganism, vegetarianism, and she of course has a very patriarchal family who all want her to start eating meat again. And she just does not tell them, I'm a vegetarian now. She tells them, I don't eat meat anymore, which I think for someone grown up in South Korean culture is a very anti-cultural thing to do, because as we were traveling, of course this is only my perspective as a tourist, but also watching K-drama or any kind of media output from South Korea, I think it's quite clear that eating animal-related products is a no-brainer. It's just what you do. There is no kind of reflection on where these things come from, or any, you know, thought of like we want to, you know, spare animals this kind of death. So those kinds of conversation I don't think are very broadly, you know, expected in Korean culture. So it's very much a shock for her family. But she even takes it further, and at the end of the book, she just does not want to exist anymore as a human being. She does not eat anything anymore. She basically, thinks that she can photosynthesize basically and just live off water and the sun. And I just found that really interesting and somehow also funny and ironic, which is, I think, something that Han Kang just does so well. She deals with very deep, very existential topics in a way that engages you as a reader. And as I said in a clip, where we were doing the hiking trip, it's also interesting because it's not just a straightforward telling of the person that is turning vegetarian, just her telling the reader whatever she thinks or goes on inside her internally. She skips all of that. Han Kang skips all of that and just gives us the perspectives of the people around this person and their kinds of, their stories and things that they reflect on while interacting with this person who has made lots of very irritating and non-obvious decisions for her life, and also does not give any kind of explanation. I think those are the thoughts that I want to share. So this is a high recommendation again. I think this is the best book I've read by Han Kang so far, and I'm interested to read more. I know there's the White Book and also Greek lessons, so I think I'll be on the lookout for both of those. And I'm not sure if I've included the clip now or later. We also went to a bookshop in Gyeongju where I bought the Korean version of The Vegetarian, which was very exciting. And you could also make your own stamp on a bookmark as you left the shop. So that was a very cool and nice experience. And I was so lucky because we didn't go there on purpose. We just walked by and stepped in, and they had the book, and now I have the Korean version. So if I'm good and study more Korean, then one day I might be able to read that book. But I think it's a very high level of Korean, so maybe not. Yeah, and now we're continuing our travels in Japan, and I'll keep you updated on my reading here. See you then!